everyone, I'm Vanessa, and today I wanted to do a middle grade March TBR of reading my childhood favorites. Middle grade March is an event and a readathon, and actually Krista from Books and Jams invited me to give a recommendation this year, so that was really exciting. I recommended Nancy Drew, so if you want any more info or if you want to see the recommendation, I'm going to leave a link to Krista's channel down below just in case you want any more info about the readathon or anything like that. But basically I thought that I would spend March reading all of my middle grade favorites from back when I was a kid, and I'm really excited about it. I have a huge list of books, and you'll have to forgive me because I don't have all of them here. Some of them I'm still waiting to pick up from the library, but some of them I have here because I own them and they live at my house. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and get started on this huge list of books. I did try to keep all of these books in the middle grade age range, but some of them I'm like not super sure. Like Junie B. Jones. Is Junie B. Jones middle grade? Because I feel like it is a chapter book of sorts, but it's also kind of young. Like I feel like it might be a little kid book. But anyways, I'm gonna put it on this list anyway just because I really want to reread it. I loved these when I was a kid. They were literally, I thought they were the funniest thing ever. Another book series that I think might be a little bit too young, but I know that I read them in middle school, was the Captain Underpants books. I think I only read these because probably some little boy I thought I had a crush on was reading them and I wanted to read the same thing. I'm nervous to reread it, but I'm also kind of curious. Like it could be fun. And here we go. Hello, Narcissa. Are you having fun watching birds in the window? She loves to watch birds. I'm also going to try to read some other of my favorite childhood series. Like I got some Goosebumps here. Excited for that. Got some Dear America books. Definitely excited for that. And I also need to pick up a few Royal Diaries. I have the Marie Antoinette one at Jesse's house, but then I also want to pick up some other ones from the library. If you don't know, Dear America and Royal Diaries were my childhood. If I had to choose like one thing to define my childhood reading, it would be these two book series. Got me started as a bookworm and a history nerd all in one. Super good. I also really loved this book series called Replica. I don't know if anyone else has ever read this. My middle school library had it and I was all about it, but I've like never heard of it since then. It's about this girl who discovers that she is a clone. I also want to go back and reread some Animorphs books because come on. I've actually heard some people that have reread Animorphs as adults and say that like it actually still holds up and it's actually still really cool and interesting. I also want to reread some Hank the Cowdog books because Hank the Cowdog was my jam. I also have the Boxcar Children on here, as well as Nancy Drew, which was my recommendation for middle grade March. I was also a really big fan of Babysitter's Club. I only had like 2 Babysitter's Club books, but I reread them over and over and I just loved them so much. Also, these books called Animal Arc, I don't even know if these are good or not. I don't remember. I just remember they were all about different types of fluffy, cuddly animals, and I'm super excited. Probably also going to try and read some Bunnicula. It's about a vampire rabbit. I don't know what else a child could ever need in their life. Another book series that I was so into when I was in middle school that I forgot even existed until I started thinking about this list was this book series. I think it's called Island, but it's basically about these kids that get like shipwrecked on a deserted island and they have to survive on the island. And it's really, I don't remember very much about it. I just remember being completely obsessed with it in middle school. I was also, of course, super in love with a series of Unfortunate Events, but I recently reread those a couple years ago, so I think instead of rereading them again, I'm just gonna go watch the Netflix series. That's something that I've been really meaning to do. And I don't want to reread the full series because that's just like too much, but obviously I'd like to read a Harry Potter book. I still have my illustrated edition of Prisoner of Azkaban that I haven't looked through yet, so that'll be something fun. I'll probably also reread one of my favorite Chronicles of Narnia books, maybe The Horse and His Boy or The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, because I just love those ones so much. So I think those are all of the series that I have on my list, and like I said, I'm probably not going to read like every book in all of these series, but probably read like 1 or 2 from each one just to get some nostalgia and like revisit it. But then I also have some actual like novels that I really loved when I was a kid that I would love to go back and read. The first one, and again this is one that I was super in love with, but I've never heard anyone else talk about it, so let me know if you've read this. It was called The Trouble with Tuck, and it was about this dog. I loved dogs. I was obsessed with dogs when I was a kid. I'm a cat person now, but when I was a kid, I really liked doggos. But I really like this book called The Trouble with Tuck. I don't remember if the kid was blind or if the dog was blind or what was going on here, but I know it's about a dog who was like, he had a pink nose, and I just remember it was called a Dudley nose, and it was like a big deal for some reason that like it showed he wasn't good enough as a dog or something because he had a pink nose. I don't remember. It was like one of those really like literary heartfelt children's books that I didn't get any of the literary messages out of it. I just remember this stupid dog's pink nose, okay? So we will see what it's actually about as an adult. Another huge favorite book of mine when I was a kid was Julie of the Wolves. This is about, I think, a girl that just lives with the wolves. Again, I don't remember very much. I just remember being absolutely in love with it. And actually, Jashana was talking about it on Twitter a few days ago. I was super excited to hear that somebody else loved this book as much as I did when we were kids. Another wolf/dog book that I was really into was The Call of the Wild by Jack London, because I was that bitch reading like, I feel like this is kind of a kid classic though. Like this is something that you read as a kid. So I feel like it's not that weird. But another recommendation that came from Twitter, I was asking people what their favorite middle grade books were from this time period, and someone mentioned Bill Wallace, and I remembered that I actually have this Bill Wallace book called Upchuck and the Rotten Willie. It's about a cat and a dog. And then Allie actually reminded me on Twitter about Holes. Like I can't believe that I almost forgot about Holes, because can you even think of a more iconic middle school book? I would also like to reread Stargirl by Jerry Spinelli, because this was iconic to me, at least. I don't know about other people, but I really loved this. I have a feeling it's going to be cringy to me today, but I do remember that this quote that's on the back of the book was my MySpace About Me section the whole time I had a MySpace, and it's really like... She was elusive. She was today. She was tomorrow. She was the faintest scent of a cactus flower, the flitting shadow of an elf owl. Again, I was really that bitch. Have been my whole life and probably always will be. I also have this book that was about the Dust Bowl. I think it's at Jesse's house, but it's called Out of the Dust. And again, it's just like about the Dust Bowl, and I think it's told in like little poems from this girl, and I just really thought it was the most artistic and interesting and unique thing ever when I was in middle school, so I would like to reread that. I also have The Witch of Blackbird Pond, which I actually just reread this a few years ago, but I mean, it's a kid's book, like I can reread this again, why not? This book really was my jam though in middle school. Like it's about this girl during the like, you know, colonial times, and she befriends this woman that like lives in the woods who everyone thinks is a witch. It's actually really deep. I was also super in love with Island of the Blue Dolphins. It's about an island in the Pacific where there's like a native people who live there, but they have to leave the island for some reason. I don't remember. I'm sure it was white people. I'm sure that was the reason. This one girl, she gets left behind and everyone's gone. Like her whole family is gone and she is now alone on this island. I loved it so much. Like when I was a little kid, my family used to go to the lake pretty often, and around the lake there was like these reeds that would grow, and I would always, for like a year straight, every time we went, I would just go hide in the reeds and like pretend I would have to like forage for my food and like fight off the wild wolves and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know. This book has just always had a really special place in my heart. And then finally, of course, gonna read some Shel Silverstein. This is my childhood copy of Falling Up. I remember sitting around my house reading these goofy, silly little poems all day long and just thinking they were the most creative things ever. I also remember as a kid just hating the art style. Like I thought this was the ugliest, stupidest art style in the entire universe. But like I think it's kind of a cute art style now. Yeah, that I think is my whole list for middle grade March and my reading my childhood favorites thing. There's so much. I know it's a lot, but I'm also thinking that like they're kids books, so I will probably be able to get through them faster and read more of them. So yeah, I'm really excited for all the nostalgia. And I would love to hear in the comments, what were some of your childhood favorites? I'm sure that there are ones that I loved when I was a kid that I just can't think of right now. So yeah, I would love to hear what yours were. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope I get to talk to you soon. Bye!